The fact that we had a 10-year run on an event is, it gives me the goosebumps.
Yeah.
And it's time for something different.
So this will be the last walk.
This will be the last walk. Welcome to The Shield. So this is where we sit down and we talk about how substance use and mental health intersect with all facets of life. And at the same time, we highlight some really cool things that are happening in Birmingham and throughout central Alabama. And today, we're being selfish and we're using this episode to talk about us at APC. But before we go any further, can we just comment on these chairs, these yellow chairs that Ronnie has installed in the podcast specifically to go with APC yellow. So, and they're very comfortable, hence shoes off and a relaxed vibe today. Today we are talking about APC and we are talking about the End Addiction Walk, and we're going to flip the script a little bit because I am not going to be really doing the interviewing and leading. We have brought our board member extraordinaire, Alabama, with iHeart Radio and Q103.7, and you are like all the things.
Oh yeah, the show airs all
things.
over. But I'm nervous because you are such a good host of this podcast. You're so good. I'm like, I don't know if I can do Nicole's job.
You can, because when you actually came in season 1, there was a point in time where you were interviewing me.
This is true. This is true.
And we said, we've got to do this again. So I am officially turning it over to you, and we're going to talk about the walk.
Okay, let's talk about the End Addiction Walk. How has planning this year's walk been for you this year? Because this is the second year that you have walked into it, literally and figuratively.
That's right. Yeah, last year was my first walk, and Carrie Wimberly, the previous executive director, she was so gracious to stay on and help us as a consultant. And last year we didn't change a thing, right? I wanted to just see how it went, see the experience, see all the planning. Mm-hmm. And she was so gracious to help us. And we had a very successful walk. So this year, here I am. And we have a smaller but mighty team this year. Mm-hmm. And so we've really, we've leaned into the power of checklists and spreadsheets and all of that to make sure that we are either on or ahead of schedule. But we're also having a really good time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think what people don't realize, and what's been cool for me to see since now I've come in on the board side, I've sat in some of those meetings where you talk about it. You are so thoughtful and thorough with any decision that you make when it comes to anything that has to do with the walk. And it's been really cool to see how thoughtful and how much you've put into the process.
Yeah, I think that because I've inherited it, and it's been such a tradition, there was really a sense of honoring that I wanted to do. We have staff who have been on our team for 5+ years and have been such an integral part, and I really lean into them to say, like, how has this been? What did you like? What did you, dislike? We have monthly meetings, and now because the walk is nearing, we've started meeting every 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. And every time we meet, we focus on the 4 goals that we had identified at the start of this year with the board's help. And that was to continue to have the walk be a place where we could celebrate those who are in recovery.
Right.
Honor those people who have lost their lives to substance use disorder, to minimize our staff outputs, because as I said, we are pretty small but mighty. Mm-hmm. And this is a pretty big undertaking. So we've really been thoughtful about how we can work smarter, not harder. And then the 4th is really to connect people to resources, because we don't know if people are coming who are sober-ish, sober curious. People don't know where to start. Where are they on that stages of change? Where are they? And we want to be able to provide resources for folks no matter who they are.
And last year was my first year to attend. There were so many booths and tables set up, and there was Narcan. They were handing out Narcan. Am I wrong? Was there HIV testing last year?
You are not wrong. There was HIV testing. There will be that again this year, and incentives for those people who want to get tested. There'll also be Hep C screenings, which is really great, and incentives for that as well. The Jefferson County Department of Health will be on hand to do Narcan and Narcan training, fentanyl test strips, medication disposal. Also, we have something, we're playing with the name, but it's basically like peer support row, where there's all these different like peer support groups who will sort of all be in the same space, where you can go and kind of almost like interview them and figure out like what kind of peer support works for you.
Yeah.
There's grief support there, because you might be one of those folks who are honoring somebody who's lost their lives, and you might not need a recovery house or an HIV screening, but you might need a family support group.
Yeah.
Or
Al-Anon.
Exactly. You might need to talk to some folks who have been in your shoes. So there's lots of new things. I'm very excited about Out From Under. They are a recovery housing, recovery group. They are bringing their van this year, and they're going to be offering haircuts.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, right? I'm
That is
very
cool.
stoked about that.
Well, I think a lot of people don't realize people, especially in early recovery, have no job, have no money. A lot of the times have no place to live. They're in a halfway,
In a recovery house.
In a recovery
Yep.
house, yes.
They're trying to get a job, but they might need to like spruce up a little bit in order to make that happen. Right. So we're really excited about that.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people don't realize the self-esteem for a lot of people in early recovery is so low. And this is something to help bring them up and say, hey, you're human. We care about you too. Here's something for you because you deserve to be celebrated also.
That's right. That's right.
That's so cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Last year we had almost 60 resource tables. I think we'll probably be on track for that again this year. And it's really the person, it's really across the continuum, right?
Yeah.
So like there's folks like APC there, like if you want to have conversations on the preventative side, but then let's say that you want some harm reduction because you know that one of your friends or family members is using drugs and you want to keep them alive and keep them safe.
Right.
Or then maybe it's that person is seeking treatment. We have a ton of treatment centers that will be there. Or maybe they're now looking into recovery and maintaining recovery, whatever that looks like to them. So we're going to have a whole gamut of things.
So it's kind of like if I were to explain the walk to somebody that's never been there before, it's almost kind of like a block party for recovery. And then everybody does a walk. How long is the walk that you do?
I knew you were going to ask me that.
Is it like
You're
a mile or something?
Yeah, I mean, you're
It's
not.
easy.
Yeah, you're not working up a sweat necessarily, and it's at leisurely pace, and it's all flat.
I love that.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, and then at the end, there's really like a walk, right?
Yeah.
And
then there were flags last year. Are you doing the flags?
yes, so we will have purple flags, and the flags represent people who have lost their lives to overdose. The good news is that we'll have less flags than last year, right?
good.
Because overdose rates are going down pretty significantly in this area. The bad news is that we're still going to have flags,
Yeah.
right? And so it would be great for us to have 0 flags, but we'll have less than last year. We will also have, there's like one area where we will have blue pinwheels. That is for child abuse prevention.
Oh, awesome.
It's through our partner and through our funder who also sponsors this podcast, the Children's Trust Fund, just calling to attention to the preventative aspect, calling attention to the fact that like we want to make sure that kiddos get the care and support that they need. We know that sometimes, people with substance use disorders are caring for kiddos, and sometimes they can't always give them the care that they need. So how can we sort of elevate this as an issue as well and get people to support and healing? On a completely different side of the equation, our junior board is having something very cool and very different this year, which I'm stoked about. It's a sober sip station. So they're creating
At the walk?
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
They're creating this like loungy kind of vibe. They're even gonna have some high top tables and everything. And so they're going to be offering 2 batched cocktails that are completely NA.
Yeah.
But then we're also inviting Emily, who is the owner of Trunk Tea, and all of her drinks are NA as well. I mean, you could always add alcohol to them. We, of course, will not be doing
Yeah.
that.
But that's a whole thing. A lot of
It's a
people are
whole-
sober
That's
curious
right.
now and drinking
That's
mocktails.
right. That's right. And so one of the drinks is going to be our riff on a mimosa. So like a virgin mimosa kind of thing. And
I
then
love
the
that.
other one, we're still sort of playing with the recipe, but that'll just be like samples for everybody just to start to experiment, because some people still have this notion that like NA drinks are just Shirley Temples or juice.
Yeah.
And they've come a long way.
Well, a lot of people are adding like functional mushrooms and like different ingredients to
Sure.
make them a healthier
Absolutely,
drink.
like
So,
different probiotics and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. And if done well, and we have amazing mixologists that partner with us, Heather and D'Angelo, that we featured on Sober Sips and things like that. I mean, they are really trying to get people to understand that like a spirit free drink doesn't mean like no fun,
Right.
right?
Right.
Right. So spirit free doesn't mean that
Fun free.
Exactly. So we're really excited about that. And our junior board has been doing lots of planning. And so they're stoked.
I feel like with all of the stuff that you've talked about, it's like your hands are in everything. And how do you remember it all and keep up with it all? And are you not stressed from doing all the planning?
Well, have you met Patty, our administrative coordinator?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So she's amazing. And she really is kind of keeping the trains all running on time. So as I said before, we've really leaned into the power of timelines and spreadsheets and all of that. And really, the team has their areas that they are responsible for, and then they just go out and they crush it.
Yeah.
So the work, the effort, the services, the resources that we're going to have, we feel really good about.
What are the major differences this year? New
Yeah.
place?
Same place. So it's at CityWalk.
Okay.
Now this is our 10th anniversary. And so we were at one point we were in, what is the name of the park in Hoover? Is that Veterans Park?
That's why I was thinking we
Yeah.
were talking about a
Is that what
different
that
park.
is? Veterans Park or something? At one point, sorry, non-Birmingham native. At one point when we first started, we were, I think, out in Hoover.
Yeah.
And then we moved to Railroad Park. But then we moved to CityWalk because it's nice to have the shelter, even though it can become a huge wind tunnel. It is really nice to have that.
To me, that's what makes it feel like a block party.
Totally.
too.
That's right. And I'll just say parking sucks everywhere. Like we really looked at moving to Railroad Park because we felt like that would be in a lot of ways closer to some of the treatment facilities or recovery houses that they could get there.
Yes.
But then it was going to be more expensive and parking was still going to stink. So what we're doing this year to kind of combat the problem of how can we get people to us, and when I say people, I mean people that are maybe in recovery, people that are in a treatment center, is we're doing 2 really cool things. Number 1, we're partnering with organizations. So if they can promise that they'll get 10 or more people there, we will arrange for transportation to get them there. Now, a lot of these places, like the Foundry or whatever, they have vans and stuff,
Right.
but not everyone does. So if an organization, again, 10 or more, if they can get them, because they want to have access to the recovery houses, to the haircuts, to all the different services, we will pay for transportation. But we are also going to be running a shuttle, which is really cool, from some places. Avondale is kind of like a hot spot.
Yeah.
So we'll be paying for transportation from a few places in Avondale, and then we'll be bringing folks down to CityWalk and then returning them.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, because we don't want transportation to be a barrier. Like,
Right.
there is a cost to attend the event and to get a T-shirt. Okay, so it was $35 to register and get a T-shirt, and now, because we're getting closer, it's now $40. But you don't have to pay anything to come, and so we really want to create as many we want to reduce as many barriers
Yes.
as possible.
When you hear the community talk to you about the walk, or people that have come to the walk every year or been a part of it, what are some of the things they say about the walk for what it means to them?
Yeah. So that's a great question. It's almost like you do this for a living.
I try.
So one of the things, we hear over and over again is that it really allows a chance for families and friends to honor people who have lost their lives or people who are in recovery and they want to champion them, right?
Yeah.
So there is sort of this like team fundraising aspect where you can walk in honor of, or you can fundraise in honor of. And we actually give prizes, little awards to the top 3 fundraisers. We typically see the same families over and over again.
Oh, that's
who do that.
cool.
And they'll wear their own T-shirts and they'll carry signs and things like that to really commemorate the person that they're walking for.
Well, and I think if you've lost someone to addiction, and
Yeah.
I lost my mom, so I
Yeah.
can speak to it. It really helps. I mean, nothing really helps the tragedy of losing that person, but if you can find a way to honor them,
Totally.
and especially with other people, and feel like you're giving back to a cause, because I think that every person in recovery or every person in addiction has a huge heart and wants to help other people in addiction,
That's right.
and you can give back to something that was important to them. I think that's important.
That's right. That's right. I think that so when you ask the question, what are the things that seem to be most memorable? It does seem to me to be those times where we can really create a presence for those people who are no longer with us,
Yeah.
right? We have this like big angel wing display
Yeah.
that people will write sort of who they're walking for
Yeah.
on these pieces of fabric that this year my mom cut all of the pieces of fabric that people can write on, right? And so they might be walking for their sister or for their son or for their dad or for themselves,
Yeah.
right? And so to hang those and to see them kind of blowing in the breeze are pretty amazing. The other thing people really that really stands out for people is right before the walk, we do what's called a sobriety circle, I think is what it's called. And that's when we have a chance to honor people who have been sober all the way up from like 35 years to 12 hours.
That's awesome.
And it is really cool. And I know that there is some sort of there's some debate in the field right now about if it makes sense for us to honor length of time sober, because everybody's journey is different and we don't want it to be a competition or people to feel weird because they only have 3 years as opposed to 30 years or 1 year as opposed to 10 years. We sort of did a poll of folks that support us and that we respect, and they all said keep it. So
Good.
we're keeping that because it doesn't matter what I think. It matters what everybody else thinks who wants to come.
Well-
and if that's something they're looking forward to, we want to be able to honor that for them.
I think what's cool for people in early recovery to see people who have 35 years of sobriety, it's good for them to see somebody else that has done it to say, okay, this can be done. And it
That's
makes
right.
it not look impossible. So I do like that you're keeping it.
Yeah. And I think people can choose to participate if they want, because I was talking to somebody yesterday, as a matter of fact, and she said, "Oh, I'm coming up on 1 year." And somebody else in the group said, "That's it? I thought you were sober for much longer." And she's like, "Well, I had a little couple of like bumps in the
Setbacks, yeah.
road." And she's like, "And then, I was still like using weed and she's like, so I'm thinking it's 1 year." And she kind of looked at me for approval. And I said, "Dude, that's not up to me. Like there's no test. I'm not giving you a grade on this test. You're
Yeah.
here today and you're in clear mind. And that is it for me."
Yeah.
Right. But people really loudly and clearly like wanted us to keep that sobriety circle. So we are doing that. And again, that'll be right before the walk. Leslie Playa, she is now the executive director of Magnolia Creek, I think. But she's been in the field like a gajillion years and she's awesome. She's going to be leading that. And then we'll we'll start walking.
Well, what's cool too, last year there was a DJ and people
DJ
bring their
Floyd,
kids.
he will be back.
It's a family event, which
Oh,
I
yeah.
think is important for people in recovery to let their family come to something that's based around recovery.
Totally.
And they can have a positive experience together celebrating recovery.
Absolutely. I mean, we've got hula hoops, we've got cornhole, we've got Happy Rocks. They're making their appearance again this year because everybody loves an art project and people love Happy Rocks. I don't even understand what they are, but people love Happy Rocks.
Is it a pet rock?
No, it's like a rock that you paint and decorate, and it makes
Like
you
a pet
feel
rock. Am I wrong?
Maybe. I don't know.
Happy rock.
That was another thing that I was like, do we have to do Happy Rocks? And I heard very loudly that we have to keep the Happy Rocks, so they will be back. But food
Do
trucks,
you have a
music,
Happy Rock? It sounds like you need a
No,
Happy Rock.
apparently I need a Happy Rock. Yes, okay, fine. I will. So last year I was up on stage. I was the MC.
You were.
Because we thought it would be a good idea for people to like get used to my voice and whatever. And when we did the debrief, one of my staff, Abby, she was like, that was a terrible idea. You need to be mixing and mingling and experiencing
Painting a Happy Rock.
Painting a Happy Rock. So I will be painting a Happy Rock. And there will be a coffee food truck this year, which is very exciting. A-Train will be there, which their food is awesome. But it is, the last year I really didn't know what to expect. I really didn't. I didn't know if it would be more somber, if it would be celebratory, if it would be more just like one big old health fair.
It's fun.
It's kind of all of those things.
We
have moments of being somber and remembering those people we've lost.
Yep.
But then we're also like really having a good time and being silly.
Yeah.
And then we're also connecting people to the services that they need or don't know they need, but might need someday, or they're coming to get for people in their lives. So I think that's something that I really want to hit on because I was not expecting this last year, is that we have a lot of people who come who are getting resources for people they care about who maybe are not quite ready to take a step.
Yeah.
And so they're not only getting resources for themselves, like maybe a family support group or an Al-Anon or something like that, but also just like when my brother is ready,
Oh, yeah.
I want to be able to give them this piece of information.
I took home Narcan for people that I know that could need it.
Yeah. And so we had a lot of people last year just kind of coming up. They were like, what is this? Like they had no idea what it was. And then they ended up staying and having a great time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I have goosebumps. I'm excited.
I am too. I really am.
How has sponsorships been different this year?
Yeah, so that's a really great question. So we do not have a presenting sponsor this year. We have two sponsors who have come in at a really nice level. That's Expedited Transport Agency. They were last year's presenting sponsor. They're a recovery friendly workplace. Like they are so great. They're like, we wouldn't miss this for the world. And then we also have the Stephen Walker Family Fund. They've come in as a really strong sponsor again this year. And Steve is a board member, and that support just means so much. I will say we have had more individuals this year sponsoring, even if they can't attend.
Yeah.
So one of our junior board members, she called up her parents and was like, hey, this is important to me. I'm in recovery and I'm on this board and I want you to support it. And her parents were like, okay.
Yeah.
And so that's really cool. That's the Pentarek family. Raymond James is a sponsor again this year. Some of our, I would say, longtime sponsors have made it really clear and have been kind of sad about it, honestly, when they call and they're like, we can't do it again this year. Or we can't do it at nearly the level that we used to be able to. A lot of that has to do with where their funding's coming from, particularly if they're a nonprofit or if they're an academic institution. Their funding has changed. They have more restrictions on their funding. Corporate funding has changed. There used to be sort of budgets to do these kinds of things.
And it's kind of dwindled.
Yeah, and I think that's just a state of the economy. I think it's a state of people not knowing what the economy is going to be and sort of making sure that they're spending wisely. Also, like this is our 10th anniversary of this. And so when we first started in 2016, we were the only game in
Yeah.
town.
Yeah.
And we filled a need, right? And so now, and this is really a good thing. Now there are walks and there are events throughout Alabama, including right here in our backyard.
Right.
And so as a result, people can spend less on sponsorships because they have to
Spread out their money a little more.
Correct. So I think we have more sponsors this year at lower levels.
So stop me if I'm speaking out of turn, but I do want to say thank you to the people that have sponsored, because I don't think
Absolutely.
everybody knows APC is a nonprofit. And so it's bringing the community together and doing all these great things, but it's also a fundraiser so that APC can continue doing the work that you're doing in Birmingham and around Birmingham. So if you sponsored, or if you still want to come and you get your tickets, you're supporting that. And that's a
Absolutely.
big deal.
It's a huge deal. I mean, number one, we see anywhere from 2,500 to 3,000 people.
Yeah.
So this is not a golf tournament that you're sponsoring. This is a opportunity you're sponsoring where you really get to see some direct impact, and you're seeing lots of people from the Birmingham metro area.
Because I guarantee people who say, "Oh, addiction doesn't touch me,"
Oh.
There's a family member, there's a friend, there's a coworker, there may be somebody you don't even know about that is either struggling now or may be sober that you wouldn't even know. There's people that are 35 years sober.
That's right.
That you would have no idea they're in recovery.
That's right.
And they still go to meetings today.
And there's, I saw several families last year that they maybe the one or both of the mom or dad, or, mom and mom, whatever, that one of them or both of them would be in recovery, but they would be bringing their kids.
Yeah.
Not to say, you don't want this to happen to you, but to show them all of the network of support and to really create a community. I mean, there really were. There were a lot of little kids there last year just dancing and cutting up and having a good time, because recovery is not something that impacts one of us. It really, the ripple effects of mental health, but also substance use disorder in particular, impact everyone.
Well, and I don't think that around recovery there needs to be a badge of shame.
Oh,
it's showing that there's a support system, and this has happened to a lot of people, not just me specifically. I don't need to be ashamed of it. I can come have support, and I'm working on myself, and we can do this together. Because you really need to do it together.
That's right. And the sponsors, just to go back to that for a second, I mean, you're right in that any sort of sponsorship is helping us put on the walk, right? Mm-hmm. Which means that we can then provide that connection and healing and support to those 3,000 people that come.
Right.
So that's one thing. But then also we want to cover costs. And if we make more than what we spend, then that is unrestricted funds that we can spend on things like hygiene kits to unhoused folks, wound care kits to folks, school-based prevention programming, scholarships to treatment and recovery, student scholarships for our youth advisory council members to continue the amazing prevention work that they're doing.
Absolutely.
Because a lot of grants, they're restricted on what they cover and what they can't cover. And so fundraisers like the Walk help us not only provide service to the 3,000 people we're seeing that day, but then also help us to continue to provide service the other 364 days of the year.
So if people still wanted to,
they just reach out to me, baby, and we'll
How do they find you? Comment on the podcast?
Sure. Nicole at apcbham.org. They can call me, 314-223-1660. I need a logo. We'll slap that logo on the banners. We'll make it happen. Yeah.
What is the date and time of the walk?
That's important. Yes. Good one. Thank you.
I'll be emceeing.
Yes, right. Exactly. Yes. Alabama will be emceeing. The date of the walk is April 25th, 2026 at CityWalk. People start.
It's a Saturday.
It's a Saturday, right. People start sort of congregating around 10-ish. The program kicks off around 11, and then typically the walk begins around noon, and then people sort of start, dispersing around 1. I think on the flyer it says like 9 to 2 or 10 to 2. Basically, we're not going to kick you out.
Okay.
Food trucks will continue to be there. Music, DJ Floyd will still be going. But I would say things really start to kick off around 10:30.
Is there something else you would like to talk about for the walk?
Yes.
We've been saving it.
And we've been saving it. So, we've had lots of conversations at the board level and at the staff level about, is this an event that continues to make sense for APC? We've looked at numbers, but we've also looked at attendance. We've looked at sponsorship amount and all of that. And really, we're also looking at the landscape.
Yeah.
And as I mentioned before, the landscape in Alabama as a whole and in Birmingham specifically is very different than when we started this. This walk used to be called the End Heroin Walk because it was created at a time when
that was the
the thing, right? And there was a need, and it was like, people are dying. We have to take to the streets. We have to let people know what's going on. We have to make our presence known, and we have to connect them to treatment and recovery resources. Well, as I mentioned, overdose deaths are decreasing, which is awesome. We still have more deaths than we should, but there are way more resources out there and way more conversations happening and a lot of events. The fact that we had a 10-year run on an event it gives me the goosebumps.
Yeah, it's huge.
And it's time for something different.
So this will be the last walk.
This will be the last walk for now, right?
Okay.
We're doing something different. We don't totally know what that's going to be. We do have events up our sleeve, including one Ungala Gala that you are instrumental in helping us plan. That's going to be in September. But this is going to be the last walk. And I thought long and hard about whether or not we say it or whether or not we just sort of end it. But I feel like I owe it to my team and the community to celebrate what an amazing run it's been. And my team in particular, who have given so much to plan this, that they can truly finish strong.
And have a big celebration.
Right. Like, exactly. Like, to look at it, to be there in the moment and say, I helped create this.
Yeah.
Right. And so we are.
Oh, I love that.
We are sad, but we're also excited.
Yeah.
And literally everything changes.
It's kind of like graduating.
It is kind of like graduating. When you stand on the stage and you look out and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I've got to go into this next chapter, but also I have come so far.
Yeah.
And look at what I did and look at what I helped create. And that's really what I want my team and all of our longtime supporters, because Alabama, we've had volunteers who have come like every year.
Which is huge.
Like, they come every year. We have families that have participated every year. And we want them to be able to celebrate too.
Absolutely.
Because 10 years is a long time.
Absolutely. Can you even remember what you were doing 10 years ago?
No.
Oh, Lord.
I don't even really want to, honestly. But it's pretty incredible to be part of the legacy and for it to be a very long chapter in APC's history. And so it's very bittersweet, but we're excited, and we are putting our all into this year because we want to go out with a bang. If there's anything you know about us,
I know it's got to be big.
Yeah,
it's got to be big.
We want to do it, and we want to do it well. And a former boss of mine told me that starting strong is really important.
But ending strong
is just as important.
End on a high note.
That's it.
I love it.
So 10th anniversary, April 25th, 2026, CityWalk. If you've registered, get a t-shirt. If you haven't registered, just come out anyway. Get access to the connection and the services. Get a sober sip. Dance to DJ Floyd. And just hang out and build community.
I don't have anything to add to that. That was perfect.
Great.
That was great.
If you liked what you heard, and if you want more of Alabama, I don't want to hear about it. But if you like what you heard and you're okay with me continuing to host the pod, please feel free to rate, review, and subscribe to The Shield. Thank you again to Children's Trust Fund for sponsoring. Thank you for being a great board member, podcast host, and just like good human. Thank you.